Edutrainment Workshops, the insurance industry's leading education and training platform, presents Life Insurance, the entry-level series, the products, the underwriting, and the planning applications to position your practice as the premier provider of insurance products in your community. Get on board, get on track, get to where you're going. And now, your Edutrainer, national insurance columnist, Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant, your Edutrainer and coach in our Edutraining workshops, or our Edutrainment workshop, I should say. And we're doing our entry level into life insurance. So all these 3 months, boy, wow, what a boot camp we've been in. And of course, this whole week we're doing introduction into term life insurance. And we're using, again, the patented Lincoln Benefit Eclipse illustration software. And if you haven't downloaded this, you need to go out to their site, lblsales.com/ETW. That's www.lblsales.com/ETW. When you come to this page here, just click on the Run Installer and it'll download their complete proposal system. We like it because we think it's so user-friendly and we think it's great for an educational tool. Also, Lincoln Benefit is our sponsor. And of course, Lincoln Benefit is a subsidiary of Allstate, and they have given us this, they've posted on this site a lot of what I would call very good prospecting and client help. All these postcards, they have a lot of sample illustrations, postcards that you can look at, download it, say, hey, that's exactly what I need. You could order their cards, you could get the language, and remember, of course, it went through their compliance, it'll still have to go through your compliance as well. But here's some prospecting letters, some postcard prospecting letters, and I love this Life Insurance Review. It's a nice review, kind of an assessment tool. It also has the Facts of Life. It's a booklet. It's a very good data harvesting book. You can either get it on the electronic version or you can use their hard copy book, which we can get for you. And of course, they have really good tools. One of those being, how do I assess or how do I do kind of a due diligence on my finances? Kind of a nice, good review for a client to go through. It's an excellent piece. I think you really enjoy it. Now today, we're going to be talking about, and remember, you may say to yourself, Steve, I missed all this going on. No problem. I want you to hop out to our site, and because this is remember we broadcast on several channels, but on ours, you can always remember, oh, if I missed a show, I know he's got it out there. Go to www.brokersalliance.com. Come to our homepage. You see that big red on-demand videos button. Click it, and all our Edutrainment workshops, our business insurance zone workshops, and our Welcome to the Weekend. That's all out there if you want to watch any of those videos, and I really encourage you to do so. And also remember, when you're out there, if you say, Steve, I really want the life insurance manual and the vocabulary you've been talking about, well, we send it to you absolutely free. Just write our show at thebiz at brokersalliance.com. That's thebiz, THEBIZ, at brokersalliance.com, and we'll send you the life manual and the vocabulary. I recommend that you have the vocabulary already out so that you can see it. Anytime you hear a word that I use, like, wait, I'm not really sure I understand that. Just look at the vocabulary word. It has a great definition to it, and you can just have that. Again, just write us, thebiz at brokersalliance.com, and we'll be happy to send it to you. Now, one other thing that I want to bring up, it's kind of a heads up. When we're looking at these tools, it's interesting. When I'm looking at a tool, I'm using, and I use several of these, so there's not one that I like more than others, but there are some here that I've looked at, and we've been looking at this spreadsheet technology all this week to decipher the spreadsheet items. Now, this time, I want to go through some of the policy features that are listed. The only one I'm going to exclude on our discussions today is riders, because it's so big and so deep, I want to save it for a week by itself. So when I'm looking at this spreadsheet, again, we're looking at a male 45, non-smoker preferred. We're looking for $1 million. It shows the annual premium, and it shows the semi-annual premium, the quarterly, and the bank draft. I like to show the client because I have found that sometimes showing the annual premium, especially if it's a big case, the client goes, wow, that's a big chunk to write a check out, but it's digestible in bite-sized bank drafts. So sometimes you say, boy, don't cut yourself out because you want to get paid annually, and 99% of the market does not pay annual commissions any longer. So you'll want to go ahead and use the bank draft. And why? Because sometimes a close on the basis of cash flow is a bank draft versus annual. And I can't tell you how many times 15 to 16% of my career being with other advisors have lost a case simply because they went in on the annual premium and weren't willing to discuss the premium modes. It sounds so simple, but that's why we have an introduction to life insurance class. That's why I'm bringing it up. Always show all four. And again, I'm doing it because your closability on the case will be a little bit higher because you're giving them an economic way, a budgeting way to pay for life insurance. Now, of course, you're looking at the state that we're talking about. And tomorrow, when I show you on Lincoln Benefit, we're going to look at Lincoln Benefit's state approval product line. Every single carrier in the United States has state approvals that they have to go through. Remember, always make sure before you quote to the client, is it already filed in that state and approved? Because if it's not, you're not going to be able to use it. Now, I got my face amount, my gender selection, male, and in this case, a critical issue again. What's the actual age or date of birth? Anytime you can use the date of birth, please do so. It just makes it that much tighter because, and we're getting to it in a second, it really makes a difference of just putting in 45 or the actual birth date. It separates the players from the pretenders because in this list here, it also talks about, well, what's my underwriting class? My calculated age and my actual age, my preferred non-smoker, it's 45 in here. But if I was to put in a date of birth, it could actually determine my age determination. Is the carrier actual age, whatever the client's age is, or are they actually nearest age? Think of this, some carriers actually make the client older than they really are if they're close to their next birthday. So should I use actual age or should I use actually the kind of idea where it's nearest age? See, to me, that means a lot, and the math is there. And remember, there's a handful of carriers, including our sponsor, by the way, Lincoln Benefit Life, that not only uses actual age, but they'll let you sometimes backdate to catch an age. So you can further reduce the contract and the price tag. So just be aware that there's carriers out here. It matters, age nearest or actual age, and do they backdate? It could really make a difference in premium. When I look at when I have my age difference and I have my years level, I also want to look just in case, and there's a few anomalies on here as we get into the 15, the 20, and the 30 year, where the guarantees, especially if GUL's on the term grid here, they shouldn't be, but if they put themselves on here and they price it, be careful because the year's guaranteed level may not be the same. So I always like to make sure, especially when we get into 20, 25, and 30 year, and even 40 year term, that's when I start looking at that. Policy fees, they're all over the board. They're as low as 50 and as high as 90 on the grid. So remember, that's part of the price tag, and very few carriers pay commissions on the policy fee, although there are some that actually do. And we can talk about that if you want to just write me, I'll let you know. Now, on top of that, we're looking at now the policy fee. There's the minimum face amount that this policy issues. So we're just doing $1 million. I need to know not the minimum face at $1 million, I need to know what's their max. And every one of these carriers, 25 million, 20 million. Look at this one, 999 $1,900,000. Hey, we're just short of $1 billion face. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. It looks like an anomaly to me, but most everybody else is at the 30 million. And do you want to look at some of these contracts to say, and they're probably including not only their jumbo, but their reinsurance treaties, who knows. But I just want to make sure, is my quote that I'm using, is that over their maximum? And of course, at $1 million, I'm fine. Now, I also want to know, is there a minimum premium? And of course, we're dealing in the term market, so that's not really an issue here. We're already quoting the minimum premium. Maturity date. Remember, we talked about this before. I might be indeed buying a 10-year term, but my ART is going to take on after the 10th year, or whatever my guaranteed period is. That annual renewable term does not have an infinite escalation premium. It's going to terminate or mature or endow sometime in the late future. Some could be at 100, 120, it doesn't matter, but you need to know that. Most, 99% of the time, you're never going to use the ART rates. Most of the time you have a convertible product, or you're just going to go find another company because you're in good health and the term market changes so much that we rewrite a lot of this. And it's not that we want to do it, it's just that the prices keep changing, and sometimes it's in the client's best interest to pay less. Why should they pay more? So when I'm looking at the maturity date, I look at that, and then I look at the issue age. Now, this is another interesting one. The issue age on the grid. Almost all these go between 18, as young as it is, and of course an 18-year-old can write for their own policy, and some of them have the minimum number of 20. So somewhere between 18 and 20 generally is the minimum. Now, could you write term below that? Sure you could. A person could be 16 or could be 10 or whatever. And if you could justify the reason why you're using term at that age, you would just have to be the person signing off on it because they're not legal to enter into a contract. So anybody under 18, you can still write them. It's just that the parent or legal guardian is going to have to sign off on it. And so even though they show 18 here, you could get child applications. I'm just using the term engine right now that shows 18. Now again, we're looking at the actual rate. Some people say, well, I saw the annual premium up here. They actually will tell you what the plug-in rate is. So you know what the premium is? Subtract the policy fee. So let's say if you know the premium here is annual is $765. Their policy fee is $85. I subtract $85 from $765, and there's my premium. And then I can use the calculation to determine, okay, what's the semi-annual rate? What's the quarterly rate? What's the bank draft rate? So they actually give me the calculation. You just take out your Hewlett-Packard 12C or your Texas Instrument, whatever you use, and you look at that and just do the calculation. You can do it right then and there. And again, most of these printouts so will have it all done for you and you don't have to worry about it. But if you wanted to do it, you could do it. Now also, most of these don't use rate cards, but some of them do. Look at this. They actually have rate cards. For some of you just coming into our business or you're not that old to know, before we had computers, we were walking around with rate cards. And we did this mathematical issue on premium mode to figure out what the mode was. Then we'd add the policy fee on top of that. See, these are all these things we used to do. So when I look at here, I'm wondering, oh, what rate card ID? Some of them disclose it, some of them don't. I really don't know if that's a big issue. I guess if you wanted to make your own spreadsheet, you'd order their card, drop it on your Excel, and make your own. But why do that when you got vendors like this that actually do this for you? And also, what's the software version and when was it updated? If you're doing individual quotes, and tomorrow we'll be on Lincoln Benefit Life, Lincoln Benefit Life is great. The moment you engage their online web software, it's say, hey, you got an update here. Boom, you hit the update and it updates it for you. So I want to know what's the software version and what's the date it was updated. Am I over? Are these rates good? Can I use this for quotes? So I always wanted to go ahead and determine what is the rate card, then the software version, and then what policy form. This is great. They actually cite the policy form. So if you went out to Brokers Alliance as an example, www.brokersalliance, you come on our line and say, hey, I know what I want to buy and sell. You could go from your grid and say, oh, the form that I need is listed here. So if I'm going to go ahead and do it, I just copy that form down and I'll be able to go right out of the website. There it is listed there, and I start saying, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that. In their forms, it's already there for you. Now, available writers. We're not going to talk about that today because I need to save that for a whole show of just writers. It just takes too long to talk about it. And then at the very end, it gives me a couple things. Before I get into the ratings, I want to talk about assets and liabilities. The larger the term case, 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, big cases. $50 million worth of term. It could be an exceeding more than that. They may not say that company only has $3.1 billion of assets. That may be too small for a fiduciary like a CPA, a tax attorney, a trust officer, or the corporate CFO, the chief financial officer. They may say, I need something way bigger than that. And so you'll want to look at all these issues of how big is this company? Like in this case, our third player is 165 billion big. They're a top 10 player in the United States in size. And then you can also say, and their liabilities, to kind of see in a quick shot, what is their net worth? What's their basically their spread between their assets and their liabilities? How big is the company? How strong is the company? In a quick flash look. Now, once you get past the basic issues of assets and liabilities, then you can say, oh, now I'm going to look at the ratings. And whether it's S&P, Moody's, Fitch, Comdex, or AM Best, or even the Weiss report, you want to look at some of these reports to see what kind of ratings, and not only the ratings, but the echelon of the ratings. All of this is important.
This has been an Edutrainment Workshop, the educational division of the National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance, and sponsored by Lincoln Benefit Life, an Allstate company.